Just like, I got it. I mean, I sent that. Although I recognize that's not
We can just, yeah, we can definitely do it.
So it's a bit.
So we can just,
What do you usually do? I don't know how to phrase this.
or what should I just say? Just a heads up that we were talking about surrounding sexual assault. Please just feel free to.
Yep. Please find your seats. Good evening. I call this meeting to order. Welcome to the 17th meeting of the 2021-2022 Student Government Association Senate. Before we begin with roll call, please remember to use your push-to-talk mics. And for the folks online, although this might sound somewhat unconventional, please text me saying if you want to be on speaking order. I think that will be the easiest thing. And now we will move on to roll call, beginning with academic affairs.
Senator Siegel, not present.
Thank you. Seesaw.
All present.
Thank you. Coe.
All present.
Thank you. Kodai.
All present.
Thank you. Club affairs.
Chair Wong, not present, but she might be online.
Finance. PR.
All present, but
Cool.
like 2 of mine are online. I'm not sure how to check that though.
Oh, you're good. Kolka.
Chair Wood, not present.
Thank you. We'll now move on to public forum. Before we do, a brief word from the VP.
Just wanted to give everyone a heads up that one of the topics on the public forum is going to be related to sexual violence and sexual misconduct. So please feel free to take a break or step out as necessary. No worries at all.
Without further ado, we'll move on to our first guest on public forum. It's Jeffrey Schulman, Cathy Osmers Rahill, Director of Athletics and Associate Director of Athletics. I have these are 2 mics for you, and I also have a slide advancer. Just give me a second to pull it up.
Hello?
Second mic as well.
Oh, thank you. Goodness gracious.
Maybe best place to stand is. Good evening, everybody. It's good to be with you all. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you as part of your public forum. As Cyrus said, my name is Jeff Schulman. I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, I'm Cathy Rahill. I use she, her pronouns, and it's really an honor to be here. I don't think I've ever been to one of your meetings, and I just want to say thank you for all that you do, because this is a lot of leadership and a lot of commitment. So that's what I just felt like I had to say. Thank you.
And I'm the Director of Athletics. Cathy is the Associate Director of Athletics and also our Deputy Title IX Coordinator for Athletics. And this conversation is really a follow-up to one that Cathy and I had with Maddie and Taylor. I don't know if Taylor and Olivia towards the end of the first semester, that was specifically focused on the work that we're doing in athletics around sexual violence prevention and education of our student athletes. And so we certainly want to get into that and talk to you very specifically about that work and answer any questions that you have. But we also thought it might be valuable, before we do that, just to give you, for those of you who aren't as familiar with our department, to give you a little bit of a background of what UVM Athletics is all about, and give you a little bit of an update on some of the things that are happening in our department. It's been a busy year for us, just like it has been for SGA and for our entire campus. So something wrong. If you want to just advance. Okay, there you go. Trying to think the best place for me to stand. Can you all see that okay? So just to give you a little sense of what UVM athletics is all about, one of the things that's a little bit unique about our department and athletics on our campus, unlike many Division I schools, we run the gamut from the most basic of instructional programs, basic learn to meditate, learn how to do yoga, up through intramurals and sort of the full competitive continuum. Of course, club sports that you all are very involved in as well, up to highly competitive Division I varsity athletic programs that are certainly the most visible of the programs that we have. So statistically, we have just over 400 student athletes, Division I student athletes, 18 varsity sports teams, 8 for men, 10 for women. And then in the campus recreation program, you can see some of the statistics about the number of facility visits that we have on an annual basis, the unique users, intramural participants, the different sports leagues, and then group fitness programs. So I want to advance there, Cyrus. And for those of you who haven't been over to the athletics facilities recently, I certainly encourage you to do that. We're incredibly excited to have opened really the first finished product of what's a much larger facility effort that we're engaged in. We call it the Group Fitness Hub. How many of you have been to this space yet? All right. For those of you who haven't, certainly encourage you to get over there. But it's a great space. It's about 15,000 square feet. We've got 4 brand new studios for, again, yoga, meditation, kickboxing, Zumba, cardio. I mean, the list of classes goes on and on. We have 60 different classes that are offered. There's a beautiful new spin studio, which you can see up here in the picture. It's got awesome lighting, and we've got great instructors, and certainly it's probably the most popular group fitness program that we have in athletics. So that space just opened. There's more new spaces coming online during second semester as well. Go ahead. Sorry. A couple competitive highlights from our teams. It's been a great year so far for the varsity athletic teams. Some of you may have been over at Virtue Field for the Amerikeys Soccer Championship. It was the first time we'd ever won an Amerikeys Championship in women's soccer. It was an awesome, it was a beautiful fall day. Sold out Virtue Field, 2,000 plus people at the game, just awesome energy, students and community, and just a great day for UVM and UVM athletics. Our men's soccer team, you can go ahead.
I hate to interrupt, but it sounds like we're having some technical difficulties. Is anyone in the Teams call? Because I have folks online saying they're hearing and seeing nothing. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I used the same link as had been sent. This is for the previous meeting. This is still correct? Because online someone said that they're seeing UVM Board of Trustees check-in, which is obviously not this.
Under the SGA?
Yeah, the Go SGA link.
All right, yeah, just give us like 2 seconds. If you want to keep going for like, we'll work on it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, no problem. So again, women's soccer, if you want to advance that, Cyrus. Our men's soccer team also won the conference championship, which was awesome. They actually won, the Amerikeys Championship game was away at the University of New Hampshire, but we ended up hosting an NCAA tournament game at Virtue Field, which was against Villanova. Unfortunately, we lost, but again, another great day for the community and students and everybody coming together. I'm going to keep going. Our women's hockey team, hopefully you're following the season that our women's hockey team is having. They're currently ranked 10th in the country, which is the highest we've ever been ranked. They've won 9 straight games. We've won a total of 19 games already this year, which is a school record. We've still got several more regular season games to go. plus playoffs. Other winter teams, men's basketball's having another really good season. They've won like 12 in a row now in first place in America East. Our ski team is undefeated. Our women's basketball team has a better record than it's had in several years. So lots of exciting. I don't know, is Juliana here, Ward? Yeah, there you are. Juliana, who I think is the lone SGA senator who is a varsity student athlete. So give your fellow senator a hand. She. Our swim team has a winning record, and tomorrow morning, if I'm not mistaken, she'll be getting on a bus and heading to Worcester for the America East Swim Championship. So good luck to you and your team. Yeah. Go ahead. Men's lacrosse last spring won the America East Championship for the first time ever. We also went to the NCAA tournament. Go ahead there. And then one of the things that's really exciting right now, it's incredible. We have 13 UVM, either current student athletes, past student athletes, and we actually have one, if you look up there, Sophia from the Denmark women's ice hockey team is going to be a first year at UVM next year. So 13 Catamounts that are competing in Beijing right now. Some of them have already started, several of the women's hockey players, several of the skiers, and are doing great, off to really good starts over at the Olympics. And one of the things, whenever we're talking about our program, we certainly emphasize the academic success of our student athletes. As you can see on this slide here, in 20 of the past 24 semesters, our student athletes have had grade point averages that are higher than the general student body. This past semester, our student athlete GPA was 3.38. We have graduation rates that put us in the top 10% of NCAA Division I as well. Great. Go ahead. Okay, so now turning to the subject of sexual violence prevention and training in our department. I'm going to ask Cathy to sort of walk through the specific initiatives that we have in our department. But before I do that, I guess I want you to hear from me that in our department, just like the rest of campus, we have been paying close attention to and very much engaged in the dialogue around sexual violence and sexual violence prevention. I know how much courage it takes for someone to step forward and share their own personal experience. I can tell you that in our department, we feel a special responsibility just because of the visibility of our program to be doing everything we can and to be a full participant in helping to make this campus as safe as it possibly can be. And we've sort of thought long and hard over the past several months about what is it that we can do in terms of educating our student athletes and being a part of the campus solution and effort around what's obviously a critical issue. And so we wanted to come here today. Again, we had this conversation at the end of the first semester with a few of you about the work that we're doing. And one of the things that came out of that conversation was that we need to do a better job of telling the campus community what it is that we're doing. And certainly, as we said in that conversation, we're not perfect. We're learning all the time about this issue and every other. And this is one step in making sure that we're getting the word out to the community about the different initiatives and efforts that we have in the athletic department to help combat sexual violence and to help make our campus as safe as it possibly can be. So I'm going to ask Cathy to talk about the specifics, and then we're open to answering any questions that all of you have. So.
Great, thanks, Jeff. Can I go to the next slide? Okay, yeah, you can just put them all out. That's great. It's going to be hard for me to see. I'm just going to step back here. Is this okay? Can you all see me? Jeff just asked me to walk us all through sort of all the different programming that we do on an annual basis, how we educate ourselves, staff and coaches, and also our student athletes. So this is sort of just a brief summary of what we do. And as Jeff said, we're not perfect. We are trying our best, and this is fluid. You know, we're always looking at this and discussing ways we can make it better and asking our student athletes for feedback as well. So you can see for the first one, we have partnered with Hope Works this year. That is a new relationship for us. For the past, oh my goodness, maybe 4 years or so, we were partnering with the Wage Center, and Sarah Mell, I don't know if many of you know Sarah, she's incredible. She was really doing and spearheading much of our programming for our teams around sexual violence, education, prevention work. Since the university switched over to this partnership with Hope Works, we had great talks with Sarah and Wage, but felt like we should probably do the same and work with Hope Works. And we're really off to a really great start with them. They are meeting with every single team that we have in athletics twice this year. They also have done focus groups with some of our student athlete groups. They've met with coaches and they've met with staff. So really trying to make sure that they get to know us and we get to know them, and you can see some of the different objectives that we're working on with Hope Works. All of our first year student athletes have to take a class called Student Athlete Development. That class is just a 1-credit course, and it's really an orientation to varsity athletics, to UVM, but it's a leadership course. And within that course, we have always had programming around consent and healthy relationships. This year, we've decided to have 2 modules within that course. And the one module, consent and communication, Sarah Mel actually came back over and did that for us for our first year student athletes. And then power and identities was done by Jenna Emerson, thank you, over at Living Well. And she did a fantastic job. And it was a really nice 2-module sort of workshop for all of our first years in that course. We also, every single year, so our athletes will get this, if they're with us 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, they'll get this meeting every single year. We'll do a team-specific code of conduct meeting. So all of our athletes have to sign a code of conduct that outlines all of their responsibilities, everything that we expect of them during their tenure as a student athlete at UVM. As part of that, there is a sexual misconduct policy in that basically mirrors the university policy. All of our athletes have to sign that, and those meetings are conducted by senior administrators in athletics. We annually also partner with the Office of AAEO, so Nick Stanton and Taryn Moran will do meetings with staff and coaches, and we're with policies and laws changing on such a regular basis, and it's really important to us that our coaches and our mandatory reporters fully understand what their responsibility is if someone discloses to them. It can be scary in the moment, but we have a responsibility as mandatory reporters. So we invite them to come over sometimes twice a year, but definitely at least once a year to retrain us again on the policies, procedures, and all of the reporting guidelines that we have to uphold. And this year we offered a special training for student athletes. We haven't always done this, but we felt that the reporting mechanisms and the policies, again, can be really confusing, and we wanted to make sure student athletes understand as best that they can what it looks like if a case is referred over to AAEO in the Title IX office. So we asked Nick and Taryn to conduct an all-student athlete training to explain all of those policies and the steps that one could take. And then finally, we've had different iterations of this group, the UVM Athletics Working Group on Preventing Sexual Misconduct, for years. Right now, that group is comprised of student athletes, coaches, administrators, and really the goal is to focus on what we all can do better in our department around educating ourselves and ending the culture of sexual violence. We have regular meetings, and what's valuable to us often is to hear from student athletes what they think we could be doing better, you know, as it relates to policies and initiatives and education and things like that. So that's really sort of the rundown of what we do on an annual basis. You'll see that athletes will get interface, at least from athletics, on this topic multiple times throughout their tenure in athletics. And this is not on here yet, but we are in preliminary conversations with Men Can Stop Rape, and I don't know if you all have had any conversations with them in the past, but in meeting with Hope Works and getting feedback from many of our female student athletes, they really were telling us, look, we often feel like we're meant to go to these meetings, and this isn't about us to change. We know the statistics, and we really want there to be more focused education for males. So we've had some really interesting conversations with Men Can Stop Rape, and we're in talks with them to add them to our list of resources and supports. And they're really exciting. They're out of DC. They're passionate about this work, and they really look at it from a strengths perspective to help men realize their full potentials as men in this work and in this world to prevent violence. So that's a lot. I hope your eyes aren't glazed over, but Jeff and I are happy to answer questions. Sorry that I'm standing right behind this whole crew here.
Go ahead.
If anybody has any or anything we can clarify.
Maybe just a couple things to emphasize just quickly, and then again, we want to answer whatever questions you all have. You can see if you're a student athlete at UVM, you're getting touch points around sexual violence prevention and education multiple times during the course of the year, depending on what year you are, whether or not you're taking the first year class or not. At the same time, we're really aware that we can do the best job possible in terms of education and training, and it doesn't mean that something bad can't happen. And so part of our work and our responsibility is to make sure when there is an incident, when there is a report, that we're following the right procedures. And for us, that is immediately turning over all of the information to the Affirmative Action and Equal Opportunity Office to make sure that they're following up as appropriate. And then when a student athlete is found responsible, to hold that individual fully accountable for their actions. And as Cathy said, this is evolving. We're learning as we go. And we're trying to make sure we're hitting the right points with the right people. So, all right, we'll stop there, and happy to answer questions.
We'll now begin questions with Vice President Stevens.
Hi, Cathy and Jeff. Thank you both for coming in. Definitely was very excited to hear from you. And so I have two questions. First, what does your current plan for communication of this look like? I know we discussed maybe a video, email. I was just wondering if there were updates to that.
Yeah, so this is part of it, obviously. And then we are working on, some of you may have seen that, I think Erica Calero did sort of something under the guise of We Hear You. And so we're going to be doing one of those videos as well, and should be coming out pretty soon. So that's part of it. And we're open to, obviously we communicate this within our department, but we're open to suggestions on what you all think might be effective in terms of getting our message out. And we also want to be careful not to be, we're not trying to be performative about this. We want to be doing the work, not necessarily promoting ourselves for what we're doing, which is, I think, a bit of a fine line in all of this.
Awesome, thank you. And then I just have a second question.
Yeah.
So I know when we talked last, I suggested adding more programming specifically for upperclassmen, given the influence they have on team culture in comparison to like incoming first year or new teammates. I was wondering if you'd given this any thought, and this is specifically regarding like bystander intervention, consent and communication, and power and identities.
So thank you for bringing that up again. We do cover bystander intervention for first years in our EDPE course, but you had asked about upperclassmen, and What's exciting about this spring with the possibility of incorporating Men Can Stop Rape is one idea we have is after our men's teams go through training with them, what we are thinking about doing is bringing together mixed groups on a voluntary basis that would talk through, not specifically maybe bystander intervention, it could come up, but really what we can do as a community to intervene and stop this from happening. So based on the feedback we were getting from student athletes, that's really what they wanted to do, is really talk to one another. So we'll see how that goes.
Cool, that sounds great, thank you. Yeah, I would definitely suggest just increased programming for upperclassmen as well, given like they have more influence on culture.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Thank you.
Senator Volchek.
Hi, thank you so much for coming in. I really learned a lot because I didn't know, everything athletics was doing. I have a couple questions. One about the new incoming first year transfer questionnaire that was written on this paper. Is that just they're kind of self-reporting their own pasts with this type of stuff? And then is there any way to follow up with that? Is it only self-reporting, or does someone check in with high schools, or I don't know, however that would work?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, so I'm sort of looking at the notes that are on there, but I think what that's in reference to is the NCAA now has a requirement that that we take reasonable steps to learn about what might be in a student athlete, a transfer in particular, what might be in their past, or an incoming first year. It's not just for transfers. And so yes, there's a self-reporting component of it, but we're training our coaches on the work that they need to do. Now, they can't do a police background check on every incoming student athlete, but as you can imagine, in the recruiting process, they try to learn as much as they can about somebody who's going to be coming and being a participant on their team. And so part of that is also understanding, is there anything in their past that we should be aware of that could be a concern in terms of their conduct once they get to our campus. So it's not just self-reporting.
Okay, that makes sense, thanks. And then I had a sort of what about Vice President Stevens was talking about with the upperclassmen. I think it can be really valuable, or I know it can be, to have peers and also influential people on the team, maybe a captain or just upperclassmen in general, communicate stuff about the culture and stuff on college campuses, and having them deliver a lot of that information can be really useful, because I think that a lot of times students would be more likely to listen to someone they look up to on the team. And then I had just one more question. Similar to the frats were supposed to go through, sexual misconduct training and stuff like that, and then a lot of them just never went and nothing came of it. I think that's changing now, hopefully. But do you guys have a similar plan for these type of trainings? If students aren't going, or if a specific team isn't, and how do you hold them accountable?
Yeah, first of all, your comment about the role that leaders can play, I think, is a really good one, and it's part of, as we continue to dive into this deeper and learn more, there's no question that's a big part of this, that sort of peer education and leadership. We know this within our teams generally, that the student athlete leaders, not just the captains, but other leaders, and leaders can sometimes be first years or sophomores, and that they play a huge role in setting a team culture, whether it's about how you're going to train or how they're going to behave when they're in the bars or somewhere else. So I appreciate you making that point. In terms of accountability, I don't know exactly the fraternity sorority world, but I do know with our teams, when a coach says you're expected to be somewhere, our athletes show up. And so, that I think that piece of it we've got pretty well. That doesn't mean one might not sneak through the cracks somehow, but we certainly wouldn't have a situation if a coach calls a mandatory team meeting, and Juliana can appreciate this, our student athletes are there. So, and these are all mandatory team meetings.
Thank you. Chair Forbes.
Hi, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about this. I think it's awesome that you really have upped your communication around this, since y'all have been doing such hard work. So one of my questions, which you kind of have answered with the Men Can Stop Rape thing, but I was basically wondering what the specific demographics kind of look like of the athletes working group. And like it presently is basically just gender-wise what the demographic is, because it is a voluntary group. So I was curious around that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. We've tried to weight it more towards men, both with student athletes and with administrators and coaches and faculty. We have some faculty on it, and it's due in large part to what Cathy said before. Like, this is not an easy thing to talk about. It's not easy for me sometimes. It doesn't stuff doesn't roll off my tongue that naturally, but I know how important it is, and I know as a man, I have a unique responsibility to help solve this problem. And so on that particular working group, we actually have more male student athletes than we do female, if that's what you were asking.
Yes, that was what I was asking. Thank you. And then I was also wondering what, you kind of touched on it, but what the coach's involvement is outside of all of this, because I know how important a lot of times and how much student athletes tend to look up to their coaches, and how their role is kind of going in all of this.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
It's a little bit my dissertation. Do you remember? No,
Prepare
you
for
don't remember.
Cathy's
You don't remember.
dissertation. No.
So I did my doctoral dissertation on the evolution of the coach's role as it relates to student athlete mental health. And don't worry. But let me just sit down. But it's fascinating. It's such a great question. You must be involved in sports to ask that question, or activities.
No, I went to a boarding school where I experienced a lot of people who had bad coaches.
Who had bad coaches.
And
okay.
yeah, so we had a bad culture around that, especially from the men, and rape culture there.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry.
I'm pretty particular towards coaches.
Yeah. Well, and as you know, it's a massive responsibility and a privilege to be able to coach. They have so many responsibilities. Like I said, mental health support, sometimes mentoring, sometimes they're acting as parents, sometimes they're acting as spiritual advisors. They're obviously acting as the X's and O director of the team. And they should be role modeling what a healthy relationship looks like. So from the beginning, when we are looking at hiring coaches during the hiring process, there will be questions related to how they build character, how they might handle a situation where they heard something in the locker room, or they heard that a player might have been accused of something. We are going to ask all of those questions. And, as you know, in interviews, you might not learn everything, but we're going to do our darndest to find out. And then while they're here, as we and their peers are mentoring our coaches, it is helping and supporting them, because this is hard work, in their evolution as a coach as it relates to sexual violence prevention. And I'll tell you, we have probably all of our coaches have had conversations about this topic with the player, whether the player was saying they were a victim or whether the player was being accused. And all of those conversations are very, very challenging. But we do expect our coaches to be having those conversations and supporting and holding our athletes accountable. I don't even know if that answers your question, but it's such a good question.
No, it does answer my question, but permission to follow up. Okay. It did make me think though about with the coaches interacting with the students in that capacity, is there any form of accountability that exists if a coach is not intervening in those situations, or anywhere that a student could be able to talk to someone like y'all or anyone else?
Yes. Well, so the coach obviously has to abide by all university policies, and all of our coaches are mandatory reporters. So if they didn't uphold that policy, there would be some sort of something that would happen. In terms of reporting structure, all of our coaches, all of our head coaches report through up to Jeff. And there's a very clear expectation that there are responsibilities and rules as it relates to this. And if they know about something, they have to report up. They cannot hold that information or just try to take care of it themselves. There is a team, and we have, a team physician who works over in athletics, and athletic trainers who also can be involved and have it be an interdisciplinary sort of support system when these things come up.
Perfect, thank you.
Senator McCary.
My question was answered, however, I do want to thank you both for coming in and following up on our meeting. I really, really appreciate it, and this is good that you're putting it out there in this way.
Although that does bring us to the end of our time, I have quite a few more people in the speaking order, and I'm curious if there is a motion to extend this debate by like 20 minutes. We'll now take a simple majority vote. All those in favor of extending the debate, please say aye, raise your placard. Okay. The debate is extended. We have a next question from Chair Henson.
Just a quick note for y'all. The paper that y'all got are my notes, so I'm sorry if they're like a little discombobulated, so just want to put that out there first. Again, thank you all for coming. And I just had two questions, or a question and a comment. When you're holding athletes accountable, is it a mixture of UVM's policy on sexual assault and athletics' own specific sexual assault policy?
That's a good question. Our sexual assault policy is the universities. You know, this is such a, you know, it's an area where we don't want to have any daylight between what UVM athletics says about sexual misconduct and what the university says about sexual misconduct. Now, there's some general expectations that we have of student athletes under the heading of conduct unbecoming of a student athlete. So, you know, there could be something, I suppose, where a student wasn't found responsible through the university system, but if we were aware of some conduct that we felt like was unbecoming of a student athlete, that could be a violation of our conduct. But I think it's really important to clarify that we are not investigators. We are not trained to investigate, certainly not anything related to sexual misconduct or sexual assault. And so we don't get into that of trying to determine responsibility when somebody's accused of sexual misconduct. That goes through the AAEO office, and they make a determination and communicate back to us. And then there's accountability both through the university process and through the code of conduct.
Sorry, maybe I appreciate the answer. Maybe I should have clarified an NCAA policy, maybe not athletics. Are those stricter than the university's holding?
No, you know, it's interesting. The NCAA, you know, governs every little detail you wouldn't believe. Like there was a rule at one point that you could give a student athlete a bagel, but if you put cream cheese on the bagel, it became an NCAA violation. So it's how ridiculous it can be. But when it comes to things like like legal issues, sexual violence, you know, criminal activity, the NCAA is silent, and it allows the schools and local jurisdiction to govern.
Okay, and then thank you. My final point is when you all do like a video or an email, I would suggest putting like a suggestion link for feedback from students to say like, oh, you know, you could fix this or X, Y, Z. I think that'd be a really good thing to do.
Thank you. That's a point well taken.
Senator Wiggin.
Yeah, I just had a question about the mandated reporters. What kind of training is that for coaches, and can that be given to, like, with the students' conduct policy, like, can they also be pushed to be mandated reporters, or at least team leadership, such as captains, or is that kind of something too much to push on just the athletes themselves?
You want to talk about the
students,
coaching?
Yeah, I don't think any students at UVM, well, that's not true. I'm guessing if you're in certain positions at UVM or have certain jobs, you might be a mandatory reporter. Maybe you all are. But as a whole, our student athletes, I don't think, fall under that. So is your question, should they be? Is that, yeah, gosh, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about that.
I'm not sure they could be formally classified as mandatory reporters, but we do have an expectation of student athletes that, you know, first of all, part of our code of conduct says that they're responsible for notifying us if they violated it. Now, is that realistic in every case? Somebody who's underage has a drink, are they going to come to their coach the next morning and say, Coach, just a heads up, I had a beer last night? Probably not. But we do expect, like, certainly team leaders if there's a serious issue going on within a team, we do expect that they're going to be talking to a coach, an assistant coach, an administrator about what's going on.
I will add though, with these situations, they're so tricky, and we always want to have the victim own the story. So that's where I'd get a little scared around mandatory reporting, because it could be that the victim does not want anyone to share this with anybody yet. So it's so nuanced and hard and difficult.
Senator Liezos.
I had my question answered. Thank you once again so much for coming out. I do have one quick question. For the code of conduct, is that completely signed by the student athletes, or is there anyone else in that process or those who signed that code of conduct?
I'm not sure I totally understand. So the student athletes,
sign it.
oh, I mean like the coaches or administrators?
Yeah.
We don't actually, oh, you mean like, do we have a code of conduct as well as
Yeah.
administrators? Oh, no, it's a good, we don't sign this, that's a student athlete code of conduct. I mean, we have all sorts of university policies that we're obligated to. I don't know that we formally sign those. Our coaches have actual employment contracts that have very specific language about their conduct that they do sign. So that's the extent of, I guess, the answer.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Sorensen.
You guys talked a lot about prevention tonight, which is great, but I was wondering if you could walk us through the athletic department's protocol when you're made aware of an allegation against an athlete. What your protocol is for that?
You want to start?
Sure. So if we are made aware, sometimes that information will come through me, since I'm the Title IX coordinator, and I'll just immediately call Nick Stanton. Sorry, did you ask the question? Okay. And I'll let Nick know that we have this information, and we will make sure that the first person who got the information, who is the mandatory reporter, puts through the full report to the appropriate, if it's a Clery and Title IX or just Title IX. And I always get clarification from Nick on that, just because it's so nuanced. So the office will get that. And then this is where it becomes challenging, is we want to give our athletes due process, because as Jeff said, we are not involved in the investigation at all. So we let that office do what that office does. And oftentimes the athletes all will continue participating in their sport during that process, and we wait for an outcome of that process. And if the outcome finds the person responsible, then the code of conduct generally would kick in, and there would be a consequence, which would usually be removal from the team. We also are providing supports to everybody involved. We offer ourselves up if they want to come in and just talk through or better understand the supports. But again, we're really trying to get them over to AAO or CAPS or Catamount Sports Psychology and Counseling.
Senator Patterson.
My question was answered.
Are there any further questions for our guests? Seeing none, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you coming in. Do you have the clicker as well? Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on public forum for 15 minutes with 5 minutes for questions? Seeing none, we will now move on to old business, beginning with bill recognizing University of Vermont Institute of Transport Engineers. Would the bill's sponsor and any club representatives please come to the front?
Hi everyone, my name is Brendan Lombard, and I'm the Vice President of the UVM chapter of Institute of Transportation Engineers.
I'm Evelyn Densmore. I'm the president.
I'm Liza McClatchy. I'm the secretary.
So kind of this club began after we took an intro to transportation engineering class, and we kind of saw that there was a void in the UVM community with transportation engineering education. We actually only have 1 or 2 faculty, and it's a rapidly growing field that has a lot of potential to solve a lot of equity issues and address a lot of environmental challenges. And we kind of took the initiative to start our own club that focuses on education, awareness, and kind of a professional development group that connects us with local groups and professionals that talk about local projects. We're actually putting on a speaker series. But yeah.
I want to emphasize that this is a nationally recognized organization, which we have been approved for already before we applied for SGA approval, just because I thought that would make the process a little bit easier. I want to also emphasize that we focus a lot on sustainability because a lot of our members are environmental environmental engineering majors. So that getting rid of greenhouse gases, reducing emissions, like adding bike lanes in Burlington. So those are kind of some of the key points we want to hit on. I want to also talk about the speaker series a little bit. We are working on having one of the, I don't know if any of you have driven on like down Shelburne Road, is it? Yeah, Shelburne Road, there's a roundabout. That's probably the worst intersection that I've ever driven through. So we're starting with one of the engineers coming from that project to talk to us. Also, our club is open to all UVM students.
I would just like to add, transportation engineering is not really focused on until like your junior year in engineering, and it's only really taken by civil and environmental engineers. So we just wanted to spread awareness more about the major and that the profession has so many careers and there's such a need for transportation engineers, especially now. So we just want to spread awareness to like the younger populations and, you know, start this club so people knew about their options before like their junior year in college and like, oh crap, like now I want to change and see what else I can do.
Would you like to read the bill before we vote?
Yeah, sorry. All right, bill recognizing University of Vermont Institute of Transportation Engineers. Whereas the Student Government Association recognizes that University of Vermont Institute of Transportation Engineers will have a positive impact on the students at the University of Vermont and provide them with a unique club experience. Whereas University of Vermont Institute of Transportation Engineers will contribute to students' overall experience at UVM by providing a community of transportation-interested students with knowledge, skills, and connections from local professionals and firms to help students learn more about the transportation field and its impacts. Let it be known that University of Vermont Institute of Transportation Engineers is a recognized club by the Student Government Association at the University of Vermont as long as it stays in good standing with the Student Government Association, follows the Code of Conduct, and keeps the Club Affairs Committee updated each semester.
Any questions before we bring the legislation to a vote? Senator Wiggin.
So you guys said you're nationally recognized. Does that mean you guys, this would be like more of a travel club? Will you go across the country talking with other clubs, or more focused on Vermont and like at the university?
Yeah, so the national, it's technically an international organization. There's like region chapters, so there's like the Northeast region chapter, and then the Vermont chapter, and then there's university chapters. So a lot of what the university chapter does, at least our plan for right now, is bring in professionals and have them talk to us. Also, being recognized by the national organization means we can travel to their events if we have the funding for it. They also provide us free stuff when we get there, I guess. So they help us out with a lot of stuff, like bringing us there, having people come into us. But when you join, you get a connection across the country. Did that answer your question?
Any further questions? Seeing none, we will now bring the bill to a vote. Would all those in favor please signify with an aye and a hand raise? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations, the bill is passed. Welcome. And thank you all so much for coming in. We really love it when clubs come in to get recognized. This is awesome. We will now move on to emergency business. Is there any emergency business? Seeing none, I'm going to stop sharing real quick just so we can see the people on screen. Let's go. We will now move on to new business. Is there any new business? Senator Haley.
Bill recognizing Mountain Club.
Cool. Any further new business? Seeing none, we will now move on to Senatorial Forum. Would anyone like to speak on Senatorial Forum? Senatorial Forum, Senatorial Forum. Okay. Seeing none, we'll now move on to executive reports, beginning with my own. I yield the gavel to the Vice President. Good evening. I'm very sorry for the technical kerfuffle, especially for online folks. I'll make sure to follow up to make sure that is not a big issue moving forward, but I'm sorry about that. Here's my report. Very little to say. We have just, in Judicial, finished creating a short document that Judicial has to maintain as part of our operational documents. This is just the first time it's been created, and I'll be sending it out to everyone for your records. It's a Senate resources documents for interpersonal disputes. Big shout out to Senator Sorensen and Kane for developing that as well. Big ups. Yeah, I'll just send that out for everyone's records. And then please continue. This is your semesterly reminder, and maybe first time telling new senators this, but if you have a question for your chair or for someone sitting next to you or nearby, whether that's clarifying what someone on public forum is talking about or asking for more context, please just pass notes. This is I think it's a really productive thing to do because it's good to have that context in the moment and whatnot, but it can be distracting to guests and speakers when you're talking to one another. I hope you understand. I'll now take any questions.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Chair Henson?
Do we have to open the op docs this week, or is that next week?
Come again?
Do we have to open the judicial op docs to make the changes?
Oh, let me clarify. This is as part of our operational documents, that have already been made. This is listed in our operational documents, so we should be making this document. It's really short. It's like a page both sides, and it's a pretty chill document. It's just something that we haven't had, to my knowledge, and we created. So, and we're just supposed to share it with the Senate, so I'm just going to send it out after the meeting just for y'all to keep. Hope that makes sense.
Are there any further questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll yield the gavel back.
We'll now move on to the Vice President's report.
Hi, everyone. First, thank you to everyone who came to the retreat on Sunday. I really appreciated seeing you all there, and I think that I definitely learned a lot, and I think we came up with a ton of great ideas. I hope you found it worthwhile. So just a quick little update. I know I announced that we got approved for the 4th position for the Office of Student and Community Relations. I said that last week, but I'm meeting with them tomorrow morning to discuss some more ideas on collaboration, things like that, which I'm excited for. Then I know I already said that the testing program was launching, and it is, but now we have an official date. So it's officially starting Monday, and so that's very exciting. I met with Joe, I still don't know if it's Spidell or Spidell. Does anyone? Spidell, okay, thank you. I'm blanking on his title, but we met to talk about more donations and kind of a plan moving forward. So if anyone worked for someplace downtown and thinks they might be interested in donating, let me know, and I would love some contact info to reach out to them. Lastly, I've been in touch with the folks who came in from Living Well to talk to us before break about them coming in for a retreat centered around diversity and identities and kind of our role here at UVM and how those kind of play into that. And yeah, I'll take any questions.
Questions for the Vice President? Senator Burmeister.
When do you need those donations by, or a commitment to those donations?
That's a great question. So right now we have 7 or 8 gift cards, and so we can do like one per week, but I would like to do like a few prizes a week. So once we get more, I would love to do like, okay, your test enters you into a chance to win like one of these 5 gift cards or something. So pretty much like ASAP, but it's not urgent. You know what I mean? That answers.
Chair Wood?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Olivia, I was wondering, or Vice President Stevens, could I come to that meeting tomorrow morning with Oscar?
I would love that. I'll send you the information.
Thank you.
A reminder as well to use your push-to-talk mics, not only for accessibility within the room, but also so people online can hear us. Any further questions for the Vice President? Seeing none, we'll move on to the President's report.
Good evening, everyone. I hope your weeks are off to a good start. Sorry I can't be there. I'm going through a little bit of a COVID scare. Sorry. I just have a few notes for this week. First of all, Chair Guess has resigned, leaving vacancies for COE Chair and Chair of the Elections Committee. Information for those interested or interested applicants will be distributed shortly. The Campus Climate Survey has been released, so I encourage you in your circles to complete it. And a big thank you to Vice President Stevens for planning a successful winter retreat. I had a good time, and it was great to see many of you there. As always, please feel to reach out if you need anything or have any questions, and that concludes my report.
Now take questions of the President. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Treasurer's report.
Hi everyone, happy Black History Month. I don't have much to report. Things in finance are picking up as per usual. And yeah, other than that, get tested, stay hydrated, and celebrate Black joy while educating yourselves. Oh, oopsies, I did have something else. Also, student life, I don't know how to really dissect it, but basically the area of civic engagement is hosting a social justice retreat this Saturday from 9 to 4. I heard they're gonna have yummy breakfast and lunch, and you can also learn how to be more social justice-y, aka learn about your privileges or lack thereof if you're a person of color. And yeah, go, CAD.
Questions for the Treasurer? Seeing none, we'll now move on to committee reports, beginning with Seesaw.
Hey everybody, hope everybody has been taking care of themselves during this difficult week for many of us. Starting off with Senator Krugman, we are just now working on the Ask an Admin logistics, and she's also getting the food insecurity pamphlet completed soon so it can be put in, Maeve, take note, Rally Cat's cupboard. I didn't tell you about that until this moment. Senator Dietrich, oh my God, is working on the gym project and continuing that work. And then myself and her are going to a meeting with Jennifer Schasberger at Living Well about social media mental health takeovers on Instagram accounts. Senator Clark killing it for her first week. And her goals that she set for herself and for the committee is more transparency for mental health education materials, and then more educational materials in res halls surrounding trash and recycling disposal. Myself, I'm working with Senator Daniels from Kodai to continue with the mental health virtual forums and better programming for the existing spaces. I think you all remember John Paul Grogan came up and said there's spaces in the Jacobs House. I don't know if anybody knows where the Jacobs House is, but we're working on materials for that. I'm mostly doing logistics side for Ask an Admin, pamphlet, all that jazz. And just a personal note, thank you all for coming to the Matika Wilbur talk if you had the chance. It was wonderful seeing many of you there. And yeah, I think we have more Indigenous speakers coming in April. So that concludes my report.
Now take questions for Chu Henson. I did say Chu intentionally, like as in choo-choo.
I appreciate that.
Seeing none, we'll now move on to club affairs.
Okay, so I'm going to be giving the committee report for Chair Wong. So she is sorry she can't be here. She says thank you for the club recognition, and there's more to come. Riley's and Chair Wong are going to continue to work on the March summit that's coming up. And if you have any other further club-related questions, just feel free to reach out. But that concludes the report.
Questions for club affairs? Seeing none, we'll move on to academic affairs.
Sorry. Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. We're chugging along, shocker there. Same projects are in the works, so if you have any advising suggestions, please reach out. Advising task force people, keep your eye on your email. And if you all have any academic related concerns, never hesitate to reach out. Administration sometimes listens, so if you have thoughts, please let me know.
Questions for AA? Seeing none, we'll move on to PR.
Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good week. There's a lot going on PR, so I'll try to give you guys a little summary of what we have going on. Senator Smith is working on the website, so please direct any suggestions you have to him within the next few days. Also, he got our meetings to be live streamed on YouTube, and I have the link for that if anybody's interested in having that and sharing that. It'll also be on our Instagram, so that way people can travel that way to it. Senator Cody is working on getting access to the TVs across campus for SGA advertisements. Senator Huntress is working on getting tabling started up for the semester, so look out for a survey from her soon. Senator Patterson is working on getting students into public forum and advocating for a more inclusive and forward-thinking approach to all UVM communications. Senator Ravishir is going to be taking over posting the weekly agendas and also the newsletter. Thus concludes my report.
We have a question from Chair Henson.
Could you expand more on the YouTube thing? Is that going to be recorded and then all that jazz?
A point of information. So the same system that is being used to capture footage for the Teams meetings and the audio as well is being fed to a YouTube stream on the official SGA YouTube channel, which is the one with 13 subscribers, not 58. It's a sore subject. So these these are being streamed and then automatically archived on the YouTube channel for future access.
And so we're plugging that more on our socials and stuff.
Yes, we've created a Go link, so it's go.uvm.edu/SGA-live, and that link will not change.
That's excellent. Thank you. Any further questions for PR? Seeing none, we'll move on to COE.
Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. Not too much happening here. People working on CAP are meeting with Elizabeth Palchuk this Thursday to get some updates about what's been happening with the Climate Action Plan working group. Money is starting to move around with the compost stuff that people have been working very hard with. Earth Week is coming up sooner than we expect, so please reach out to myself or any of my senators for suggestions on themes, speakers, workshops, or anything that can happen during Earth Week. And then a reminder to fill out the campus climate survey.
Questions for COE? Seeing none, we'll move on to CODI.
Hi all, happy Tuesday. Excited to be back here in person. I firstly want to say sorry to Speaker Oswald. I had my phone out because I have my meeting notes from my blue light project that I need to talk about, and that's why I was pulling it up. But so I, along with Senator Lista, met for the blue light project. I hate seeing myself up there. For the blue light project, and basically what we talked about was the fact that blue lights will not be taken away. I want to put that clear first, that they won't be taken away. We do have an excess of blue lights here, though. We have about double to our comparator schools, and so what they're looking for is a better option maybe. What that be moving of some of the blue lights, full survey of campus to see what is well trafficked, what is not well trafficked, slash possibly, this will be in our next meeting, new technology that could replace this, but will still be physical technology on campus. And basically working to marry that with the Live Safe app that Senator Shelley worked so hard on, well, I guess Caroline Shelley now worked so hard on last year. In terms of Kodai, sorry, Senator Ward, oh my God, is working with UVM Extensions on educating students on the extensions program and what they can access on it. Senator Burmeister, as well as the rest of my committee, I want to give full, and Lina, and Treasurer, and Treasurer Roden, finished the bulletin board on Sunday, which is so exciting. So, yes, it deserves it. So if y'all want to check your faces out, they're right in front of the SGA office. And he is as well working on the advisory committee and working with Senator McCary on with the QSU. And Senator McCary is working with the QSU and PRISM Center in basically the same project he has been doing the whole time, which you already know about. Senator Daniels is doing the telehealth spaces, as Chair Henson spoke about earlier, as well as hopping onto the gym project, the equal opportunity space gym project that many people are working on, so that's very exciting. Rally Cats Cupboard is grand opening is on Friday at 1 p.m. Very exciting. It is unfortunately closed due to space issues and COVID, but if you really have a strong inkling and wanting to come, I am open to it and would just talk to me, and I'm happy to make the exception. I just can't invite a full 42 people. And as soon as Rally Cats Cupboard is done, I just wanted to make this announcement to Senate as a whole. I will be pivoting to Sexual Violence Awareness Month. I just unfortunately been really swamped with the grand opening stuff this week. So happy Tuesday. That thus concludes my report.
Any questions for Kodai? Seeing none, we'll move on to finance.
Hello, everybody. So I have a few things to talk about tonight. First, I didn't mention it last week, but there is a new business manager in the finance office. She's very nice, and I'd recommend saying hello if you haven't. Secondly, this weekend is when we plan on tackling all of the budgets. So that's basically making the decisions on how much we're going to give to clubs next year. It's going to be a great time, spend a lot of time together. And then I wanted to give a shout out to Senator Liezos and Wiggin for creating these super big Excel sheets that we're going to put all the budgeting data into. Personally, it confuses me, so couldn't have done it without them. Other than that, just stay healthy and have a great semester. That concludes my report.
Any questions for finance? Seeing none, I put myself on the speaking order and yield the gavel to the Vice President. Is this also when you will be budgeting committee budgets? Is this weekend also when you'll be budgeting committee budgets? Oh, my bad.
Treasurer Roden?
Point of information. We've come to the realization that we should start having committee chairs do their own budgets instead of copying and pasting from year to year, because you all know best what you want and need. Therefore, I will be sending out the budgeting template that the Finance Committee uses to all of the committee chairs over the next week, maybe, if I make it to that, but next week definitely, so that you can submit what you need in each category and know what you want. So this is an opportunity for change in a positive direction, because now you can budget accurately to what your committee needs and not rely on supplemental as much. So stay tuned.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll yield the gavel back to you then.
Any further questions for finance? Yeah. Go for it.
Just general question overall to the treasurer and overall For those submitting budgets for first time, I just want to implement that we do have office hours in finance. Myself, Sakiria, and Sam have hours, so if you have any questions, especially due to budgets or how we budget, I just want to offer that we do have office hours that feel free to use or stop by.
Further questions, comments, other for finance? Seeing none, we'll move on to Kolka.
Hi, everyone. Kolka is moving forward with the projects discussed at this weekend's retreat. We set hard and fast deadlines for this week, and that has really boosted our productivity. Senator Kane got a response from Jeff Schulman on the gym project, which is awesome. I'm feeling really good about finishing strong this semester. As always, if you have any questions about Kolka activities, please reach out to me or anyone on the committee. Please also reach out if you'd like to grab a smoothie or coffee or something. I know college is hard, tee-hee. For my history fact of the day, today in 1862, Union troops defeated Confederate defense forces at Roanoke Island, NC.
Now take questions. We'll now take questions beginning with Chair Henson.
I just want to say that Chair Wood is absolutely right about smoothies. I personally am getting some coffee this week with Chair Wood and Treasurer Roden over there. Very cute. We're going to be very cute looking, and we are each other's Valentines. So just want to put that out there.
Further questions or comments for Kolka? Seeing none, we'll now move on to senatorial comments or announcements. Are there any senatorial comments or announcements? Vice President Stevens.
I just wanted to plug this because he's not here, but Senator Siegel has been working on this huge charity concert for the past few months where he's gotten volunteers from like four different bands and a bunch of prizes and things like that. So it's in the Grand Maple Ballroom, and tickets, I guess, are getting released, and proceeds go locally to HopeWorks and then non-locally to St. Jude's. So just wanted to plug that because I know he's been really excited about that and wasn't here to announce it today. That's all.
We'll take questions or comments on that subject. Chair Wood is, okay, cool. Questions or comments on that subject? Seeing none, we'll move on to Senator Kane, and Chair Wood, I have you on the speaking order.
Hello, everyone. I just want everyone to know it is Senator Volchek's birthday tomorrow, and I am saying this sweating because she wrote, "I swear to God, if you tell them I told you to say it." So I don't know what comes after that, but please say happy birthday to her today and tomorrow.
Chair Wood.
I got two things, I guess. I don't know when Troy's birthday is exactly, but I'm pretty sure Senator Kane's birthday is coming up as well. And I also just wanted to say the products from the hygiene drive last semester went to the Coalition on Temporary Shelter. And if you go to their website, if you just do a Google search for homeless shelters Burlington, Vermont, the first website that will come up is, I think it's called Waystation, which is the same thing as the Coalition on Temporary Shelter. And if you go to their website, and at the top of the website, there's the Get Help or Give Help. If you go to the Give Help section, there's a little form that you can fill out to volunteer in person, and they just kind of ask you about like what experiences do you have, what hobbies are you into. It's just like a little Google form, and I really encourage everybody to go fill it out if you have some time to volunteer there. If you remember, it's something I'm super passionate about. We're doing like a product drive again for homeless shelters, but I think going in person is like a very different experience that can really put you into the shoes of our fellow community members who are living different experiences than us. But they do have limited capacity because of COVID, but I do think that if you can sign up to volunteer, that's something that you should do as a senator.
Did we have a point of information from Senator Volchek?
Yes, Senator Kane's birthday is actually next Senate meeting, the 15th, right? Is that the 15th? Okay. Also, I second everything that Sarah just said. That's really an awesome thing to do with your time.
Questions or comments on that subject? Seeing none, are there any further senatorial comments or announcements? Treasurer Roden.
I just wanted to clarify the student life social justice retreat. I explained it really badly, but you should all go. It's really important that we are making ourselves critical thinkers and, you know, engaging in those types of situations as student leaders, just because we are leading a population that may not necessarily look like us or have the same experiences. So it's really important for you to get well-rounded and balanced. It's free, they're feeding you, so great incentive to go, and it's on Saturday. My next one is a little bit more exciting. Fashion show, BSU fashion show, the Black Student Union fashion show. Tickets drop on Valentine's Day, which is Monday. So if you want to buy a ticket for yourself, if you want to buy a ticket for your boo, you should go check it out. I will text in the group me to harass you all, so be sure to buy one. Bye.
Chair Forbes.
Treasurer Roden, if you'd like, I can read the mission of the retreat, but if you don't think it matters.
Yes, please.
Okay. 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 So the mission of the retreat is the social justice grounding retreat, building roots in compassion, equity, and justice, occurs annually during the spring semester. The retreat provides participants, undergraduate, graduate, staff, and faculty with an experience to dive deeper into the knowledge and skills around their own social identities and further define themselves as leaders of compassion, equity, and justice in their communities. We believe linking identity to interconnected manifestations of oppression illuminates how social locations, based on access to power and privilege with any socially constructed group, affect how people are treated on multiple levels. That was a quote, Abe's et al. Participants will learn about systems of power, oppression, and white supremacy, and will engage in self-reflective activities that center furthering their understanding of their experiences with power, oppression, and privilege within their community. I would just like to say on that note that this is incredibly important, and you know, we have a lot of complaints about UVM, but a lot of these things won't change until the white students take accountability for their actions and for the way that they treat others around them. And so I think it's very important, and this is a very rare learning opportunity for white students that is aimed towards white students at this campus. And so it's really important that we go if we feel that it will benefit us.
Treasurer Roden.
It's also Black History Month, so as a gift to your Black friends, you should go.
Senator Patterson.
Yeah, so I think that's great. I haven't heard about it outside of this meeting, and I was wondering how we're going to spread awareness about this.
Treasurer Roden.
Mimi, the Assistant Director for Civic Engagement, and the graduate assistant, Tatiana Havens. They're really good people. Also, Lena is going to send out an email to the entire Senate body. The pictures are on the Davis Center screens, so if you look up and you see it, it's right there. And then also an Instagram post, a little reshare, a little texting your group chats will also help.
Great, thank you.
Further questions, comments on that front? Seeing none, are there any further senatorial comments or announcements? Senator Dravid.
I'm meeting with Alex Yin on Saturday. He came up to me quite randomly and asked for help on the campus climate survey. I'm not sure if that's the exact title. I don't know exactly what help he wants, but if anyone has any ideas on promoting people to take it or anything like that, he seemed really stressed out and I'm very worried. So please help.
Treasurer Roden.
I am on a roll today. I would suggest, I'm super loud. I would suggest reaching out just because it makes informed decisions on how we can make campus change. Another way that you can engage in changing white supremacy culture and behavior at this predominantly white institution. It also is the same survey that talks about how students are feeling personally on campus, so it helps inform like prospective students, current students. It also has other data, like today I found out that since 2020, the population of Black students were 222, and now we're only 186. So there's a reason why that happened, and why am I messing this up? That survey will tell you why. So those are my tidbits.
Senator Daniels?
I would suggest like maybe reaching out to like Res Life. Like I know we all got an email about it, but I think that if maybe like either RAs or Res Life staff connected with like the students who are living on campus at least, it might help like incentivize them to take it if it's like someone they know who is like, take this, instead of just like an email coming through.
We have a point of information from Senator Lista.
Yeah, so I am an RA, and we actually did get an email from our ARD, which is the Assistant Resident Director, telling us to tell our residents to do that. So I don't know about other learning communities, but I know Arts and Creativity is on that.
Senator Smith?
I would suggest, as a very large group of student leaders, that we all, if we feel comfortable in our own classes, asking our professors if we can speak about it to the students, or if you don't feel comfortable speaking, ask your professors to take a few minutes to talk about the climate survey. I know that I have several professors who love to take little 5-minute shorts to spread awareness about things going on campus. So, take it to people where they are 100% going to be, which is what they're paying to be here to do. So get it announced in those classes.
Vice President Stevens?
Sam and I met with two, I'm forgetting one of their names, which is extremely embarrassing, but Amir Ahmed, who's the, who does, oh my gosh. Thank you, words. We met with them, and they discussed a bunch of different incentives and kind of PR for getting the word out. So I know that they're going to be like physically visible on campus, like in front of Henderson's, giving out coupons if you've done it, things like that. So I know that's like their big plan for kind of getting the word out there.
Chair Robinson?
Also, I'm forgetting someone emailed me about it, and I've been talking with them, and I'm supposed to either meet with them or they're going to proof what we're going to post, but I just don't want to spread like the wrong information.
Chair Henson, did I see you?
Speaking off of what Vice President Stevens said, Paul Yoon and Sarah Mel were in the Davis Center. That's what it is. The Davis Center yesterday, handing out like free swag and stuff. So if you take the survey, you could get like so many stickers and water bottles and all that jazz. So it takes less than 10 minutes. Easy to do.
Senator Volchek?
Do we know how long the survey stays open for? Like, is it a week, or does anyone know the deadline?
Senator Draven?
I believe it was supposed to be open for 2 weeks. That's what I got out of what Alex Ian told me. But I believe they're planning on extending it just because they're not getting what they want out of it. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't talk to him for that long. It was basically just come here on Saturday and what we're doing. So I'll get more information on what exactly is going on and then communicate that somehow.
Any further questions or comments about this topic of the survey? Seeing none, are there any further senatorial comments or announcements? Seeing none, I put myself on the speaking order, yield the gavel to the Vice President. Sorry that I'm doing that so much this meeting. I just wanted to say big thanks to Vice President Stevens for organizing the retreat. I thought it was great, and I learned some stuff, and I've been here for a while, so props.
Thank you.
Any further senatorial comments or announcements? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? The meeting is adjourned. See you all next week.